A Napa guy knows not to judge a man by his car's multicolored paint job or absence of modern gadgetry. Who cares if it's technically old enough to vote and the windows are powered by the strength of your left arm? Your monthly payment is zero, and it'll stay that way. Because with over 400,000 parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep anything on the road. She may not be pretty, but she's all yours. That's Napa know-how.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good afternoon, folks, and thank you for tuning in with me to another edition of True Capitalist Radio here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. And for you folks keeping track, this is episode number 6 of the official True Capitalist Radio Show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with me. Before we get into any jargon about business or capitalism, I'd like to let everybody know that this show and all the advice there within is provided to you for educational and entertainment purposes only. And, any of you idiots that follow this verbatim and for some reason it doesn't pan out how you see fit, it doesn't give you a reason to be a litigious jerk-off to go out and say, oh, yeah, it's not fair, and I'm going to go sue somebody. So anyway, now that we got that all out of the way, I'd like for people out there that are listening in, I'd like to thank them for tuning in. Please bookmark the website or add to your favorites blogtalkradio.com/ghost. That's blogtalkradio.com/ghost. And, of course, shoot me an email whenever you have time. ghostpolitics@yahoo.com. Of course, I'm not talking about politics anymore, but that is still the email address, ghostpolitics@yahoo.com. Anyway, we're talking about a lot of different subject matters today. Unfortunately, if you happen to have been in the market on this very day, it dropped considerably. It's dropped considerably, and I don't mean to toot my own horn here once again. I know there's a lot of people that are going to sit over here and say I'm some sort of narcissistic jerk-ass. But I don't mean to be, tooting my own horn here once again, but beep, beep. The markets took a dive here once again, and why did the markets take a dive? Well, lo and behold, more earnings came out, and it did not meet the street's expectations. What did I explain to you folks earlier in the week and last week? That we're going to see a downturn as we approach springtime. I mean, don't I sound like a damn psychic or Pokes-a-Tony Phil or some crap? I mean, good God. I mean, I should get paid to, sit here and announce this type of valuable information to those capitalists that are out there that are listening to this and that I can utilize it for their own capitalist interest. I mean, like I said, folks, and I'm going to say it over and over again, I predicted that there is going to be a downturn as we approach springtime, and as we see in today's markets and yesterday's markets, and we're going to continue to see as we approach springtime and even well into springtime, we're going to see not up to street's expectation earnings reports. And we're going to see a lot of bad or, mixed signaled economic data. That's going to cause the market to fluctuate, but inevitably what's going to happen is all the profits that have been made from now or from summer to now are all going to be kind of taken back. People are going to sell off. It's going to cause a chain reaction. As we see today, with earnings, not meeting up to the street's expectations out here, Wall Street didn't react very positively to it. And not to say that, it should somehow be optimistic, because like I've always said, folks, this particular rally that's going to happen into the summer is going to be based on, fiat. And for those of you that are true capitalists that know what fiat means, that's exactly what it's going to be about. It's based on fiat. It's a fake. It's a farce. Now, thankfully, we had a rally in the Dow from the blue chips era. It only was down 2.49 points. But inevitably, folks, we're going to continue to see downturns like this as we go into the springtime. And I just wanted to toot my own horn again. I know there's people that are like, you already went through this, Ghost. You already said all this. Yeah, I know I said all this, but I just, to be honest with you, I just wanted to toot my own horn here, folks, because I've said it once again. And some of these stocks that fell were in the tech and materials sector. They didn't live up to the heightened expectations, So this is basically what, and as you can see in the NASDAQ, it's the one that took the hitter. It was down 21.07 points for you folks that are investing in the NASDAQ. S&P, of course, down 1.66 points, which isn't too terribly bad. But if you look all around, everything was down. I mean, oil lost a couple of bucks. Gold lost 21.50. $21.50 is what gold lost. But as I've said time and time again, folks, accumulate gold. I mean, make it at least 10 or 15% of your portfolio so that when this bubble, it's just starting right now. It's just getting its steam. The gold bubble will happen, and you folks will be looking back on these archives and saying, gosh, that Ghost, he prognosticated another one. But I guarantee you the gold will go up 3,000-4,000 an ounce in the next 2 or 3 years. And that's all there is to it. I know there's ass clowns that are sitting over there saying, "Oh, you're lying, Ghost. It's not going to happen." It is going to happen, folks. And I know that it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that such a thing will happen. But just like I've said time and time again, I hate to keep reiterating. Just take a look at all the news channels and take a look at the advertisements that are keeping that particular network afloat. And you'll notice that most of them have a common theme, which is gold, buy gold. I mean, buy gold bars, buy gold shares, invest in gold this, get a gold IRA. I mean, all this malarkey, and inevitably all that investment, all that pump and dump on gold is going to have an accumulation effect to where people are going to hold on to it. They're going to hold on to it to the point where it's going to be a little bit harder to come by. So as a result, supply and demand laws are going to take effect during that particular gold accumulation phase. Supply and demand effect. Now, of course, our government is going to continue spending. They're going to heighten the debt ceiling here in the next few days or weeks or whenever these idiots decide to get to work on it. And, of course, none of these people are going to stop their pork barrel spending projects. These politicians are really scumbaggish in that regard. They want to make sure that everybody makes notice of their particular reign and power by showing how much federal tax dollars they could go back to their state to name highways and schools in their name and all that other crap. I mean, but you have to understand, folks. I mean, as we continue spending, the devaluing of the dollar continues, and most of the rise in gold, on top of the accumulation, is the devaluing of our currency. I mean, our currency is being devalued, and that's what's rising the cost of gold, because gold's price is pretty steady. I mean, it's pretty consistent. It's a freaking rock, for heaven's sake. And like I've said before, the only thing that's going to make it rise is the pump and dump that's happening right now as we speak, and the debasing of the American currency, both of which are taking place. So that's why I'm advising folks, if you're going to get in gold, make sure you're only getting into it for the next 2 to 3 years. Dump it when you see it about 3,000 or 4,000. Remember, you have to make your own speculation on when you feel the top is the top. If you overextend your stay in an investment, you're bound to lose money. When you get too greedy and you see some stock or some security of some sort going up, and then it goes down, and you hold on to it in hopes of going up again, you run the risk of potentially, having it go continuously down. So remember, it's up to everybody's individual discretion on when they speculate the top or the bottom is going to be on any security. But inevitably, I know that gold is somewhat high at this point, but I think it's good enough to still buy into. I know that there's a lot of fluctuation. But if you're in for the long term, 2 to 3 years, I guarantee you're going to make some gosh darn money. You're going to make so much money, it's pathetic, you know? And not just gold, but commodities in general. I said this in 2009, 2010. Commodities, 75% undervalued, ass clowns. And now we see food prices at an all-time high. We see inflation globally. We see a higher demand for all commodities, every kind of commodity you can think of. And what did I tell you, folks, in 2009, 2010? I hope you made some money. Anyway, folks, I want to hear from you, 646-652-4869. Please, I'm going to go ahead and shoot another Twitter or a little tweet. This sounds so damn fruity, but I'm going to shoot another tweet out here and tell everybody that we're now live broadcasting, and tell everybody to call in or chat live with us because, I forgot to shoot the last tweet before I came on to the broadcast here. So if you could also do me the favor and go to your little social networks and make sure to let everybody know that the True Capitalist Radio Show is now live. And we want to hear from you. 646-652-4869 is the number to call here. Like I said, this stock dip that we saw today, we're going to continue to see it, and it's going to fluctuate, but inevitably, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Dow 10.9, 10.8 by springtime, maybe a little after springtime. It could get lower than that, depending on the investors' confidence. You also have to remember how the environment induces investors into selling and buying. It's another observation one has to take into consideration. Anything could happen. Some emerging market could collapse. World War III could happen. Anything can happen. But anyway, I want to continue on here. I want to talk a little bit about Walmart. Old Walmart, the big, bad, great Satan that everybody in every community is talking about is, destroying the small business. Old Walmart is deciding to go, quote-unquote, healthy and is promised to reduce sodium in their, Walmart manufactured food products, decided to lower the prices on vegetables and fruits in their Walmart establishments in an attempt to show America and show the world that they are a healthy corporation. Now, I know there's a lot of individuals that have, fallen hook, line, and sinker with all this health nonsense and vegan and, we should be eating the garden and we should be eating grass off the ground and leaves and meat is murder. Meat is murder. But I haven't fallen in line with that, folks. I mean, I grew up in a time when they were advertising through government institutions, through government bureaucratic systems, through schools, through health departments. I mean, it was a part of the one of the main food groups, that red meat. All right, red meat was supposed to be an integral part of someone's diet. And, for those of you that are as old as I am that remember that, that was not a joke. They throw that in the education system. They made that an integral part. All of a sudden, some ass clowns have made it hype for everybody to eat, some, green grass and mushrooms and call it a meal. It's just malarkey. And I think that Walmart, in my opinion, is utilizing the hyper-sensationalism in getting slim and getting trim, and the hyper-sensationalism of eating healthy, whatever in the blue hell that's supposed to mean. They are utilizing this so that they can release this little press release that they're going to go healthy, whatever the hell healthy means, What they did release is that they are going to lower the prices on vegetables and fruits, which is pretty much abundant on a global scale, if you want my personal opinion. I mean, there's not one emerging market or, developed country that has a corner on any particular portion of the produce section. You understand what I'm saying? So, of course, there's going to be a lot of vegetables abundant throughout the international community. But what's not going to be abundant is meat. Yeah? What's not going to be abundant is good pork and chickens and, cotton. I can go on and on about all the commodities that aren't going to be in an abundance. And if you want my personal opinion, folks, I think that's why the government and now these corporations are starting to hop on what the government has started, this bandwagon of, we got to, be healthy and we got to go out and eat vegetables. I mean, basically what it means is telling you to eat less. I mean, they're preparing, the American public, which, as I've always said, is, going to take a huge step back in economic prosperity here in the next 2 to 3 years. They're already preparing us and saying, look, we're going to go ahead and we're going to fall hook, line, and sinker with this government propagandized, induced, ridiculous concept of eating healthy and, eating, I don't know, having a good diet or whatever the crap these idiots are trying to push forth. But what I see it as is that they are trying to justify to the consumer via public relations that they're going to have to take an increase on all commodities that are worthwhile to those that are actually needed to sustain themselves or those that are, seeking those commodities to indulge. And here we got Walmart today releasing this press release that we're going healthy, dudes. We're going healthy. Basically what it's telling everybody is that you better get prepared for less. You better get prepared for less, folks, and they're going to justify all those food increases we talked about yesterday on a global scale. Yeah, if you haven't heard about it, get your asses to the last program, listen to it. We talked about food prices going through the roof. And why are food prices going through the roof, folks? Because supply and demand. And why is Walmart able to lower the prices down on produce? Like I've said, folks, everybody produces produce. Everybody in the world. I mean, what they can produce and what only certain areas in the international community can produce is cotton and cattle and poultry and these types of commodities. They can produce vegetables and produce all night. I'm not fooled, all right? I'm not fooled by the government's implementation of, everybody's got to eat right and got to get a salad and shove it up your hole, and you got to eat turnips and radishes, and no. You can't eat that red meat. You can't eat that poultry. You can't eat that bad stuff. You got to be a vegan. You got to eat eggplant. You got to do all this crap. They're shoving this down our hole so that the American public can get used to going with less. That's right. And as I've said time and time again, most of our commodities that are produced in America are going to export consumption. We talked about yesterday, and we're going to continue to talk about it here in a second, but Hu Jintao has made his way over here to the United States of America, and our president, the vanguard of the proletariat, has been able to negotiate with the other vanguard of the proletariat over there in communist China that we're going to expand our exports to China at a rate of supposedly $45 billion. We're supposed to have a $45 billion investment in exports, courtesy of the vanguard of the proletariat out there in China. I mean, this is now American capitalism. And you wonder why, we have this, constant advertisement, this propagandized campaign to make everybody believe that you got to trim down, you got to do this. I mean, they're doing it because they're justifying the rises that they're going to have to give you in food costs. I'm talking about in meats. I'm talking about in poultries. I'm talking about pork. I'm talking about these products that keep, industrious countries going. I know there's a lot of people that think that I'm just, a nutcase about that, but I grew up in a time when red meat was, one of the main food groups out there, and it was advertised, in the schools that we had to have it at least a couple of times a day to be able to continue on and have enough energy to go through the day. I remember it, and now all of a sudden we're just, sitting back saying we're just going to be vegans and herbivores and, passive, fruity-ass earth, wind, and fire-listening hippies or some crap. All right, let me tell you something. I don't want to talk to Walmart. I don't want to talk to all these grocery stores out here. Look, I'm not fooled. I understand what you're trying to do. You're going to try to justify the increase in your food products so that these Americans won't piss and moan, and then, you're trying to kind of guilt trip them into believing that they're fat in the ass, so they have to buy these vegetables. And, this was done before, folks, for all you, people that don't remember. During the time of World War II, during the time, even before World War II, Italy, it was pretty much of a corporately dominated country, but people like to say that corporates control that country. It didn't control the country. Mussolini controlled that country as a fascist dictatorship. I mean, even though the means of productions were in private hands in Italy at the time, they still were dictated what to produce by Mussolini. Okay? So what happened is that Mussolini, to raise funds for the war, amongst a whole bunch of fundraising ways or a bunch of uses for his natural materials or natural resources, this man sold off most of his pork to the international community. He actually sold off most of his cows. He directed all those that were farming to sell the pork, sell the meat, all to the international community so they can raise money for the war and the country to continue flourishing. Well, as a result, the Italian community, the Italian people, during World War II, when Mussolini directed all these people to, the farmers especially, to specifically sell their meats to the international community, the people had to adjust. The people had to adjust to this new form of life because not everybody could afford meats, because the fact that Italy was exporting their meats out of the country during that particular time, it cost a lot more to get a damn T-bone steak or, some pork meatballs back then, I mean, everything was being sold off everywhere else. And the country of Italy was left kind of like America is going to be left, to wither away with produce and vegetation, like an abundance of it. Because like I said, I mean, everybody can grow vegetation. Everybody can grow onions and, potatoes and all this other carrots and all this other crap, Everybody. Unless you're living in Siberia or some crap, but most countries can produce this themselves. So they're going to have an overabundance of that. And this was the case with Italy in World War II, in pre-World War II. They were left with scarcity, an extreme form of scarcity in meats in World War II. And as a result, they had an abundance of tomatoes and onions and all this other vegetation and produce. So what did they do with that? Well, folks, modern-day Italian cuisine was invented during that particular time because they had to make do with these, vegetation, abundant crops and a scarcity of meats. They had to make do with this idea of exporting the majority of the meats produced in their country so that they can raise money for their government. And folks, I'm telling you, you can look back in history. I mean, this is how the great pizza, la pizza, that's how the pizza was created, folks. That's how all these nice little Italian cuisines were created, because of the scarcity of meat during World War II, because old Mussolini directed all the means of production to export the goods for the sake of, taxation and fighting the war cause. This is how Italian food and the great Italian cuisines were made. And I know that, people like Tony Soprano and, all these other guys that are out here, and the 110 mobsters that were arrested today in New York and New Jersey by the feds, I know they would like to disagree with me and say, no, the Italian food, that has always been the cuisine for the beginning of time. I completely disagree with you, all right? If you look back in history, you have to realize that during World War II, all right? During World War II, when Mussolini was dictating the means of production to private enterprise and forcing private enterprise and all the farmers to export all their pork and all their meats, the people of Italy were left with an abundance of vegetation and produce, and henceforth, a lot of people that were very hungry at the time got creative with the abundance of produce and the abundance of vegetation, and that's why you got the pizza, and that's why you got the Italiano, la mele. That's why you got it. All right. And anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that tirade or that history lesson about Italian food and how it came up, but I'm only saying that because Walmart today is saying it's going healthy. It's announcing to the people that it's going healthy, and how I interpret that is that they're going to raise prices on foods, and they're justifying it because they're going to go, quote-unquote, healthy. And why are they raising the price of foods? Because of the supply and demand on the international level. I mean, they want to take a lot of the food that's usually sold to these fat American people. They want to sell that food on markets where they pay a higher price for it. And that's why they're falling hook, line, and sinker. The corporate America is falling hook, line, and sinker with this idea of, going healthy and eating vegetables and, all this other malarkey, I mean, I'm not joking, man. I'm serious. I know there's people out here that think that I'm just, pulling rabbits out of my ass or something of that nature, but I'm serious. This is why we have such an infatuation with going out and making sure that we, get fit and eat, dumbass vegetables 4 or 5 times a day. It's because we have to make do with less, and they're getting us prepared for it, folks. They're getting us prepared for making do with less, and all the American people can do is, like I said, they spit on their hand, they tickle their ass crack, and they're like, hey, everything's great in the neighborhood. But you need to read the writing on the wall. I mean, why would Walmart oblige a government-induced, propagandized idea of going, quote-unquote, healthy? I mean, isn't it in Walmart's best interest to sell whatever the hell food they can sell to whoever the hell wants to buy it? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It makes sense when you realize that they're getting us prepared to go with less. That's why Walmart is lowering the cost of produce and vegetables, because there's an abundance of it. That's why they're cutting back, and they said today they're going to cut back on their sodium and sugar and all the high-priced commodities that are, at an all-time high now. These commodities, they're cutting back 25% on all the products they produce via their little, generic name models. They're getting us used to going with less, and everybody out here that's fallen hook, line, and sinker with all this going fit and going healthy and all that, you're an utter moron, all right? You're an utter buffoon. And I know there's people out here that are going to say, oh, Ghost, you're not going to live very long. Well, you think I care? I've already lived a long time as it is, all right? I've eaten T-bone steak. I've eaten, briskets and, fajitas and cheeseburgers. I mean, I love the cow, I love beef, I pork, fried chicken, chicken wings. I like this crap. I eat it on a consistent basis. All right? I mean, do you think I care that I'm just going to keel over at some point? Hey, that's the risk we take living this great life, you morons. I mean, just because you idiots want to eat like rabbits, just because you want to eat like rabbits and, get a little, piece of celery and then be pompous about it for all of us that are out here, guzzling down a couple of gallons of beer and, 80 chicken wings, you have the audacity to sit here and eat your little, herbivore diet in front of us and then wave your finger and chastise us and say, oh, I can't believe that you're sitting there indulging in that. You got to be healthy. You've got to be healthy, you asshole. Don't you understand that? You're going to kill yourself. You're going to clog your arteries. I mean, you idiots, I'm old enough to remember when the school, all right, the damn public education system was shoving it down our holes that red meat was an integral part of our diet to the point that we should eat it about 2 or 3 times a day. Now, all of a sudden, they're trying to tell us that we need to go, I don't know, rabbit? I mean, I don't know, that we need to become an herbivore? It's a disgrace, all right? Utter disgrace. Anyway, folks, 646-652-4869 is the number to call here. Anyway, folks, I'm going to take a break here. Before I take a break, I want to talk about Texas. Now, I know there's a lot of individuals out there that think that, I don't know, I got a hard-on for Texas, and, maybe I do, but the bottom line is it's a great state. It's pro-business. This year, or it's 2010, last year, I should say, we have a deficit problem. We over-budgeted. We spent over what we budgeted. And do you think that this government in Texas raised taxes on its people? Do you think that it, did some type of, malarkey in bamboozling the taxpayer out here in Texas or making it difficult for businesses to open up and do business? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know what they're doing? They're cutting the damn government. I was happy to see today on the news that a lot of these school districts in Texas are going to have to cut teachers. They're going to have to cut teachers, and they're going to have to cut administrators. They're going to have to cut all this crap, and that's beautiful. I mean, I like I've always said, we need to cut more government crap. I mean, that's the reason why Texas is the best state in the union at this point in time, because we're the best place to do business. We don't have unions that are backed up by governments that are going to extort money out of business folk that are supplying employment to communities. I never understood that about unions. You have these unions out here. They try to strong-arm these, business folk into giving them $80,000 a year for menial labor, and then they expect to have that for a long period of time while at the same time being able to maintain a profit as a company, paying losers for this type of menial work. It's ridiculous. There is no unions out here in Texas, folks. No unions. And anybody who tries to start one, they're going to spit in your face because it's ridiculous. Who the hell wants to work for a union when all it's going to do is stagnate the growth of a community? That's all it's going to do. It's going to limit the growth of that community to the simplistic job that union negotiated for that little pay. It's pathetic. Let me take a sip of this here. What the hell am I drinking? I'm drinking some beer here. Since I'm from Texas, we get a lot of Mexico import beer. And this beer that I'm drinking is called Sol. which has got to be one of the most marvelous tasting beers that I've tasted, and I've tasted a lot of them. I tasted Corona, which I thought was all right. I've tasted a lot of them. But, you know, Sol has just got a smooth flavor to it that you can just kind of, it's a lager. You know, you just kind of sip it and it's just smooth. You know, there's no harsh bite at the end. It's not a stout. You know, it's not any kind of, anything that's going to hit you hard like a Bock or anything. It's nice and smooth, and it gets the job done. And I know that there's people that have emailed me up asking me why I drink so much. I'm not necessarily an alcoholic. Alcoholics are assholes that go out to the liquor store and get the cheapest, dirt, rot gut garbage off the shelf they can and try to get drunk off that. I, on the other hand, try to drink the best libations that are around on a consistent basis so that I can gain a better appreciation for the art of brewing or for the art of creating such spirits. That's why every time I get on the internet nowadays and I'm drinking some sort of an alcoholic beverage, it's a different alcoholic beverage so that I can gain a true respect for the taste and the aroma and everything that is that alcoholic libation. That's the difference between me and alcoholics. Alcoholics are nothing but a bunch of, morons that want to get shit-faced for the sake of doing it, whether it's grain alcohol out of the rubbing alcohol underneath your damn sink or it's off something that's decent. You know? That's all there is to it here. Anyway, I don't mean to be getting off on that tirade, but I was talking about Texas, and I would want to encourage everybody for the next, 6 to 7 months. If you don't see much of a future in your community, if you're in one of these markets like Illinois where they're upping the state income tax 66%, state personal income tax, that's before you get to federal. If you're living in California and having to go through that ridiculous debacle over there, and you want to go somewhere else, right here in Texas, baby, is where you need to be. All right, Texas. We've got so much growth out here; it's just unbelievable. And on top of which, the real estate. I mean, we've just got vast quantities of land. The jobs out here are plentiful. That's why I'm saying, everyone that's listening, within the sound of my voice, you need to come down here to Texas, because not only is it a great economic situation, not only is there massive amounts of economic prosperity, but it's one kick-ass place to live. I'll tell you that right now. Let me take a chug of this. It's one kick-ass place to live, for heaven's sake. All right? We know how to party out here. We're not like these, pussy-whipped ass clowns all across the country that are trying to be politically correct about crap. All right? I mean, we got balls the size of grapefruits that will slap the rest of the country in their faces, and leave their grandkids with black eyes. Do you understand what I'm saying, folks? I mean, Texas, it's no coincidence that they say everything's bigger in Texas. Or, there's no coincidence that they say everything's better in Texas. Because it is. All right? You get the bigger cuts of steak. You get the bigger glasses of beer. You get the bigger pieces of barbecue. That's what you get. I love Texas, and I encourage everybody that's in the Union, everybody that's in the United States of America to move here to Texas while the getting's good. All right? Because it's great out here. It's unbelievably great, and it's pro-business. And like I said, not only is Texas pro-business, and not only is the real estate up here going through the roof. I mean, if you act now and buy a piece of real estate or put down on a piece of real estate now, in about 2 years, that thing's going to go up the wazoo, because everybody's going to finally realize and take their heads out of their asses that Texas has got the damn thing going when it comes to economics and when it comes to pro-business and low taxation. And not only that, we know how to party, too. So I'm going to take a break here, but I'm going to put on a pro-Texas song. This song was written by a couple of Australians that came out here to Texas and actually partied their damn asses off to the point where they had to write a song about it. They had to write a song about partying out here in Texas because, they just couldn't believe that there was a place like this that partied as hard as they did, and it was here in Texas. So here it is, a couple of Australians singing about Texas. Can we have the music, please? Put it on. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. Some AC/DC here. It's a song about Texas. Here it is, Thunderstruck. Ah, ah. Anyway, it was a song about Texas, and I had to take a little break there for all you folks that are wondering why you're listening to AC/DC. A couple of Australians that came down here to Texas and got so blown back by how we party out here. They wrote a song about it. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about some business stuff. Hu Jintao, like I said, the president of China, is still in America, still making his rounds. And, of course, the, president, first lady, everybody's bowing down to Hu Jintao as if this guy's got, some sort of a 15.5-inch schlong or something. But to be completely honest with you folks, I don't understand why China has such a stronghold on American economic prosperity. I mean, yeah, okay, they own most of the debt that America has incurred, and the only thing that they have over us is that the fact that they'll sell the debt. They'll sell it off, and it could cost us some economic turbulence of some sort, as if nobody's going to buy the debt from America. But I'm not going to make any more speculating, folks. What I would like to do is, believe it or not, I actually have somebody on the phone from, or actually representing the Communist government of China, who is going to enlighten us on, I guess, what this particular meeting between President of China Hu Jintao and our President Barack Obama, what this meeting exactly entails and what it's supposed to signify to not only the Chinese people but to Americans and those that are witnessing this spectacle throughout the international community. So let me take a drink here because it's hard to get anybody to come on this program to be interviewed, let alone a representative of the Communist government of China. So let me go ahead and take a drink here. All right. Let me go ahead and bring in the representative of the Communist government of China. Mr. Fortune Cookie, are you there, sir? Oh.
You see, you people out there talking garbage about the Communist government in China don't know what you're talking about out there. We conquered the world with economic prosperity, motherfucker. And for all you out there trying to talk garbage about the Communist government in China, you better start learning how to work a Chinese, motherfucker. Yes. We are taking up the world, and we own most of your debt. So if you're going to sit here and talk government or talk against the government of China, we're going to sell your debt to the international community. And we will do it for Chairman Mao. Yes, the Chairman Mao. So I want to tell all you American people out there that think that you are that motherfucker because you live in America. We're going to own your country now, motherfucker. And if you don't cooperate, we sell your debt on the national, international market. We sell your debt on the international market. Nothing you can do about it, motherfucker. So, Ghost, don't talk garbage about communist government in China. Because we're coming in here, and we're going to shut you up and stick chopstick up your asshole. Motherfucker. We're going to stick egg roll up every American asshole. I got nothing else to say. This is Mr. Fortune Cookie. Thank you very much.
All right, shut him off. Shut him off. Anyway, you get the gist of what Mr. Fortune Cookie said. He's basically saying that the Communist government of China doesn't see America as any kind of a threat whatsoever, because China owns most of America's debt. And if America doesn't oblige to what China is implementing throughout the international community, all China is going to do is sell the debt in the international market, which is the only leverage China has over the American government and the American people. And why we can't call these damn, egg roll eating communist Mao Zedong worshiping jerk-offs, why we can't call them out in their bluff, is beyond me. I mean, can somebody explain that to me? Can somebody, bring in Jackie Chan so I can slap him around and tell him what I feel, so he can go tell Hu Jintao over there that we don't care if you sell off the American debt on the international front? I mean, according to Bloomberg, if China does sell the American debt on the international market, you've got buyers galore. You've got so many buyers. On the contrary, you may even have a run for American debt. So, for Hu Jintao and Mr. Fortune Cookie and, all these other communist government officials trying to hold leverage over America by saying that, we're going to, I can't talk like Mr. Fortune Cookie, but you get what I'm saying. We're going to sell American debt and, all this other nonsense on the international market, and it's going to cause a default on American. It's not going to do anything. And on the contrary, if I were China, I would look out from within. They need to look at their own economic situation, because they can only extort their people for so much longer. I mean, they can only feed them this communist nonsense and extort them for 9 cents an hour labor so that communist bureaucrats can become billionaires. They can only do that for so long. I mean, that's 1 billion people that they have to contain. And as a matter of fact, when Hu Jintao, during his visit, was questioned about human rights violations implemented by China, at first he was asked during the press conference with Barack Obama, and, he acted like he didn't hear it. He said that there was a problem with translation or communication. But then when he did address the human rights issues as it pertains to China, he said, as what I've always been saying, you stupid morons. He said that their population is big, and it has to be tamed and controlled. And just by those words, it validates the system, because it's not Hu Jintao. Hu Jintao is not Mao Zedong. It's not a dictator. He's just the top bureaucrat of the system created out of Mao Zedong's mess. He's the top bureaucrat that was elected by all bureaucrats. And, that's why we have to talk to this moron. This guy is not, some moron, dictator. But inevitably, he justified his human rights abuses on the fact that he has to rule over his people. And this is why I said, even when I was a conservative, folks, for all you folks that don't believe me, look back in the archive, blogtalkradio.com/ghost. If you look back there, you'll hear me say that the reason we're seeing incremental authoritarianism by our government, the reason that we're seeing such disgraceful acts of totalitarianism by our government, like having our DNA forcibly extracted from us at a cop's whim, by getting photographed naked just because you want to travel somewhere domestically via an airplane, or getting anal probed if you don't want to, get, photographed naked. The fact that they're trying to curb the First Amendment and all this other nonsense, this is what I've been saying all along, folks. All right? This is what I've been saying all along. They're incrementally implementing authoritarian, totalitarian rule here, our American government, because they're utilizing China as a model. They're utilizing China as a model to show that the only way one can actually gather up a mass quantity of populace, like China, who has 1 billion people, like America, who has 350 million people and counting, like other massively dense populaces, they have to be controlled and told what to do via an authoritarian prime directive. And what validates China's model is the fact that they're growing at a such exuberant rate that is, hasn't been seen before in world history. You ask any economist about China's growth, and they'll tell you that it has been one model that has grown faster than any other form of social order in world history. So this is why you have liberals and even these Republicans and conservatives out here that are elected that are trying to push forth this authoritarian, totalitarian rule. Because if you look at the reaction of this free society, it's not acting as mature as it should be. This free society is out here acting as if it's one of these primitive emerging markets that are pissed off because, they didn't understand the complexity of the system. I mean, that's how, and the bad part about it is that we're densely populated, all right? We're densely populated. And it's not just liberals, all right? It's conservatives, it's Republicans. I mean, it's anybody who's going to halt the progress of private enterprise, those that are going to, add regulation, add taxation, that's what's halting the progress of America. And that's why I'm saying it's no coincidence that you see these bureaucrats paying us lip service, and at the same time they're incrementally adding all these damn ridiculous laws in our faces. And I'm not trying to say they're unjustified either, folks. I'm not trying to say that a lot of human reaction that has happened to the 2008 recession, a lot of human reaction that has happened to the situation up to this point, I mean, there's been a lot of crazy things that people have been doing for really ridiculous reasons. All right, the last one, of course, was this disgusting shooting in Tucson, Arizona. I mean, but I've said this in February of 2010 that you're going to see a lot more of these types of acts of violence because a lot of these folks are in situations that they can't get out of, or they think they can't get out of. They're in a situation where they have children they can't afford, they have debts that no honest man can pay, and they're in over their head, and they're not going to be the big American Idol that they get, induced by believing they could be by television. They're not going to be the big businessman. They're not going to be the big rich person that they always dreamed of. And that's a harsh realization when you've got some, idiot induced by media believing that this is like a plausible possibility for the abundance of the American populace, or, in this case, the American populace. And that's why you're seeing this incrementalism of authoritarian totalitarianism, folks. And I'm telling you right now, you've got 2 years left to stack your chips, gain as much assets as you possibly can, and move to an emerging market elsewhere other than this country. Because, folks, we got too much debt, all right? Not only debt in government, but consumer debt. I mean, we're in some big trouble. We've got so many people dependent on entitlements. We've got so many people dependent on, certain ideas that, we got to help people, man. Look at that poor, we got to help everybody and all this crap, and it's draining us. I mean, look at what it did to Europe. Look at what it did to Greece. I mean, what I'm saying is that the numbers don't add up, and eventually we're going to, come to a header. And I don't want to be here, and I don't think any capitalist should be here when that idea comes to a header. And that's why I'm urging all capitalists that are within the sound of my voice, please go out there and accumulate your goddamn assets. Stack your chips, man, because we got 2 years to do it. And once these damn Bush tax cuts are reset, it's over, because they're going to raise taxes to like 60, 70%, and they're going to cut spending. That's the only way you're going to be able to reduce the deficit in any legitimate fashion. And anybody who's going to disagree with me about that doesn't know math. All right? And it doesn't know common sense. I don't want high taxes. I mean, I'm a capitalist, folks, but that's where there's no other outcome that's plausible. High taxes and cutting spending. And what's going to happen when you cut taxes, when you raise taxes and cut spending? Well, bureaucracy is going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's going to grow, and it's going to continue growing, and before you know it, we're going to be China. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, folks, I think it's a rather disgraceful display and a vulgar display of power for Obama to be talking to Hu Jintao, not only bowing down, but also submitting to the fact that we have to, that Barack Obama, the vanguard of the proletariat, has to negotiate for us, the American people. I mean, that's such a liberal thing to think of. That's such a leftist, power-hungry thing to believe that, well, look what I did. I'm Barack Obama, and I negotiated $45 billion in future exports to China. How do you like them apples? I mean, it's just, Jesus Christ. I know I say that I'm not going to get political, but, I have to, folks. I have to get political. Because like I've always said, these people in America today that, are just sitting back and thinking that it's a great day in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, these baby boomers, because it's their fault. I mean, I'm a part of that generation, folks. I'm a baby boomer. But let's be honest. It was the baby boomer self-righteous, just egotistical garbage generation that caused all the turmoil, economic, social, and political that we're feeling here today. And anybody who disagrees with me, you're obviously, one of the people that are in the group that I'm talking about, or you don't know your ass from your elbow. All right? The damn baby boomers are the ones that put us here. All right? I mean, they're the ones that got us all this ridiculous debt that we're currently in as a nation. They're the ones that induced this entire society into being the immoral cesspool that it is. They're the ones that, induced America into being a consumeristic, hedonistic, disgusting display of itself. And now, I mean, most of these baby boomers are getting of age. Now they're going to sell the remaining or the last remaining pennies they have left for their Social Security to sell their great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren out, and everybody else is supposed to sit back and continue partying and continue to be masqueraded with the smokescreen put forth by the damn baby boomers. Well, let me tell you, I'm not going to do it. I grew up in this generation. All right? I remember when these assholes were out here, talking about free love and, dropping acid and, having mud pit orgies in 1969 in the middle of Woodstock, New York. All this, throwing headbands, doing drugs. I mean, getting in touch with Aquarius or whatever the hell they were doing at the time. These morons are actually the ones that help prelude everything that we see here today. And I would like, and I've done this before, but I feel like I must do it again. I must do it again because I don't think that individuals that are listening within the sound of my voice understand the seriousness that these milky lickers that our baby boomers have done to our country. And I'm a baby boomer, folks. Don't sit here and say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm a baby boomer. I saw it for myself. Saw it for my damn self, for heaven's sake, and it was a disgrace. And people called me dude, you're a square, dude. You're square for not participating in this mud pit orgy over here and having a love child and, living on some hippie commune and tripping out on acid every day, dude. You're the square, dude. That's what they said to me, back in the day. That's what they said. But now, look what all that has done to this country. This country folks, I love America, you idiots. All right, I know there's a lot of people that think I'm anti-American because of the realist stuff I say. I love this country, but I'm a realist. All right, this country is not going to wither this storm overnight. I'm telling you, in the next 2 years, when these tax cuts wear off, they're going to have to raise taxes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't want taxes raised. I'm not a liberal. I wish there was no taxes. But all this debt we've incurred and all the people that we owe based upon all the crap that these politicians spent in our name, it has to be paid. And on top of it having to be paid, we have to spend less than we're used to spending. So on top of raising taxes, we're going to cut spending, and that means federal and state employees are going to be out of a job. That means the PO in America isn't going to have their entitlements. So it's a very serious situation, and I credit the baby boomer generation. And myself included. I mean, even though I was against this, I'm willing to sacrifice my life as long as every other baby boomer gets theirs. To understand that, I mean, we did wrong. I mean, it's a disgrace what we left our children in. And look at these parents. They have no shame. No shame that they left their children in absolute squalor. No assets. They're bequeathing nothing but debt. It's nothing. No production. No means of production. Nothing. And then they have the audacity to sit here and tell these young people that we're going to have to continue to tax you on the beans that you're making based upon this piss-poor economic situation in America when, the only job that you're going to come by is some service industry-oriented garbage. We're going to have to tax you for Social Security, even though you are never going to see it. You're paying it for us. You're paying it for us because, people like myself, we're old, and we need that Social Security check so we can pay our Cadillac bill every month, so we can ride around to the nearest restaurant every day and, eat our meals and, live like extravagant retirement old pompous asses, even though, we really don't deserve it, even though we're not going to bequeath anything to the youth. It's a disgrace, folks, and I can't believe that there's American people out here that are within the ages of 50 plus, all right, not fall in line with that particular persuasion, 50 plus that have no compassion for what they're doing to this country and what they're leaving to their children, because they're leaving their children nothing. So, as a result, I'd like to have an audible effigy of all these damn generations, these damn baby boomer generations, throwing their children into wood chippers, because that's what they're doing. They're throwing their children into wood chippers. I want to have an audible effigy of these particular baby boomer generation ass clowns that are so pompous ass, and believe they're so righteous and they're so right and they did so much great things. I want to have an audio effigy here on blogtalkradio.com/ghost and showing a sacrifice, the sacrifice they're doing by throwing their children into wood chippers. Now, let's go ahead and, go into that audio effigy, shall we? Can we throw these children of the baby boomers? Let's throw all the children of the baby boomers into the wood chipper, because that's exactly what this generation has done. They have thrown every generation previous or after the baby boomers into the wood chipper. And I know there's baby boomers out there that are saying I'm out of line. I know there's people out there that are dropping off listening to the broadcast because they can't believe that I'm saying this about the baby boomers. Well, hey, wake up. Look around you, all right? Why don't you YouTube your little old ass to, China and look at how much modernity and prosperity they're having at our expense, thanks to you hypnotizing the youth into being consumeristic jerkasses. All right? Here, let's go ahead and audio effigy let's go ahead and throw these children the post-baby boomer children. Let's throw them into wood chippers, shall we? Let's go ahead. Can we throw them into the wood chipper, please? Let's put it on. I'm going to turn on this wood chipper here so that all these children that you had can go into the wood chipper. Here, let's turn it on. Here we go. Throw on that wood chipper. Now, here's your children. Here's your children that you sacrificed, baby boomers. Here's your children. Here you go, children. There you go. It's the wood chipper. There you go. Baby boomers, you did this. Here you go, more kids in the wood chipper. You did this, all you baby boomers. All right, shut it off. Shut it off. I mean, but you see, I know I lost a lot of listeners on that one because they found it a little disturbing to hear such a thing, but that's what you idiots did, you baby boomers out there. That's what you did to the children out here. That's what you did to everybody who you had as children. This is what you did to them. You threw them into wood chippers and didn't give two rats' asses about it. And now, us as capitalists, have to show young potential capitalists how to maneuver around this ridiculous so-called economic playing field that you have here in socialist America. I mean, and this is why I don't have any qualms in, telling people the things that I'm telling people. I hope that you folks make money. I hope that people take my advice, make serious cash. And the only thing that I ask is that when they interview you as being such a prosperous capitalist bastard, I want you to remember Ghost. And just say, this is a man here that said, look, let's stop pissing and moaning, let's stop crying, let's go out and conduct some business. And I showed you how to conduct some business. It's very easy. And on top of me showing you how to do these little business ideas and how to maneuver your money, you, as an innovator, as somebody who's living this game, have to innovate more creative ways and more innovative ways to be able to maneuver cash and to be able to gain assets. I mean, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, folks. I mean, I'm not joking here. I mean, it's not a sick joke. I'm trying to get people to go out there, and it's easy. It's freaking easy. But everybody wants to make excuses. Everybody wants to sit here and say, oh, I can't do it, it's this, it's that. I don't want to hear excuses, man. Now, I'll understand in 2 or 3 years when we raise the damn rates of taxes to 60-70% and start cutting the federal and state jobs and start cutting the entitlements, then I can understand when you can piss and moan that, man, I can't find a job, and on top of which it's a dangerous world out there. Then I can understand, when you can sit here and make an excuse that you're not able to meet up to par. But I am giving you a heads up like I've always given my listeners the heads up. You've got 2 years. 2 freaking years, and that's it, man. That's it. You got to get out of this country. And I'm not trying to be a hyper-sensationalist, but man, this country is doomed, the people. And it's not anybody's fault. It's not some boogeyman. It's not anybody else's fault. It's American people's fault. Because a part of freedom is an element of responsibility. And if American people aren't going to be responsible and they're not going to go out and properly elect leaders that are going to implement legislation that they see fit as a constituency, well, then we reap what we sow. If we're just going to just elect people because, I want to have a beer with that asshole, or, he has nice teeth, then we deserve the garbage that we're getting here today. And on top of which, if we're going to make economic decisions based upon our materialistic lust, well, then we reap what we sow in that regard also. I mean, if we're going to sit here and, get a $250,000 house on a $25,000 a year income, if we're going to, go out and, do ridiculous, fiscally irresponsible crap, well, then why is it anybody's fault but our own for our own misfortunes? That's why, believe it or not, I'm more popular with people in the international community than I am with people that are from America. Because American people, they don't want to hear this type of crap. They don't want to hear that, you're an imbecile. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear that their little American Idol worshiping, reality TV circle jerking life actually has some significance. I'm serious. That's what they actually want to believe. They want to continue to believe that this is, somewhat pertinent. All the dumb decisions are just a bump in the road. But some people, and sometimes they have to understand that when you make dumbass, idiotic, imbecilic decisions, you have to live with them. And not only does it hurt yourself, especially if you're, somebody with a family, it hurts everybody within your family. So that's why I'm saying capitalists, the ones that put their money where their mouth is, those are the ones with the balls. Those are the ones that realize that they're going to take a chance, and not a chance, but a calculated chance, on making an investment and prospering and capitalizing thereforth. That's why I keep saying, be a capitalist and kick some damn ass out there, all right? 646-652-4869. I want to hear from you. Do you need any financial advice? Do you have a story? One thing that really, took me back yesterday is hearing that young gentleman that called in and saying that he took my advice. He's a long-time listener of this program, and he took my advice, and he's prospering nicely. And I'm glad. And I want more people to prosper nicely like that, because it's not difficult, man, especially the youth, especially the young. The young are the ones that are taking it up the ass right now with no Vaseline. They're the ones that are being bamboozled by their parents. They're the ones being bamboozled by the bureaucrats. All right? I kid you not. If you don't believe me, why don't you take a look at all the amount of debt that has been incurred because, old good son or old good daughter listening to mommy or daddy to go to college, even though there's no scholarship or no way to pay for it. Oh, no, they stroke, daughter or son into believing that, you need to put out a loan for it and work for it. And then, lo and behold, these kids are $80,000, $90,000 in debt before they even enter into the workforce. And then they're entered into this economic landscape where service industry-oriented economy dominates the land. And it's a disgrace, man. I just can't believe people can wake up and look at themselves in the freaking mirror. Look at themselves in the freaking mirror and actually, I'm sorry I'm taking it so personal, but I just can't believe people can live with themselves with such mediocrity and such pathetic, versions of themselves, just looking at themselves and saying, I'm okay with this. It's okay. I'm going to make my dumb decisions, but, it's just, that's life. That's life. That's all that happens. Jesus Christ, man. I'm just depressed, man. I'm sorry. I mean, I know that I've made some considerable profits since the summertime, but I'm depressed, folks. I mean, I'm just. I mean, I'm depressed. I mean, what the hell can I say? I mean, money is great, but when you're living in an environment when those that aren't making money, when you go to a shopping mall and you're buying, mounds of steaks and beef, and all these other idiots are getting, cheap crap that was imported from some other country like Mexico or some other shady-ass country like that, they look at you with a cross-eyed or something. If you go to a shopping center and, happen to buy something high-priced, people look at you as if you just asked them to fist them in their anal passage. I mean, I'm sick of this crap. I mean, I'm sick of it. I'm sick. I can't explain it. I can't. I mean, you don't understand, folks. I mean, I just don't think that you understand the type of tiredness, the type of I'm just tired of this crap, folks. I mean, be honest with you, man. I've been betrayed by my conservative roots. I've been a conservative all my life. And that's something that, disturbs me, man. I mean, I've been conservative all my life. I did what I thought was right. I did what I thought was right. And it was right, damn it. And now those folks that try to claim they're conservatives are out here trying to peddle to me and every other conservative that this disgusting crap like teen pregnancy and philandering around like some loosey whore bag is somehow justified. This is why I'm telling capitalist folks and the young people especially, don't buy into the hype. Don't buy into political romance. Do what you have to do for yourself. Or you're going to end up like me, who, so what? I'm prospering. I got a lot of money. I'm drinking every day. I'm drinking the best booze. And, I bought myself a nice, beautiful penthouse out here in Austin, Texas. I got my own office where I can sit here and in front of Art Deco desks and, chairs and artwork and all this other crap to sit here and pretend like I'm doing work. I mean, but inevitably, folks, you have to understand that you have to be real. You have to be real with yourself. Don't fool yourself into believing that things are what they're not. Because that's what I did for a long period of time, and you can look back on the archives, folks, at blogtalkradio.com/ghost. I did that for a long time thinking, some miraculous miracle was going to happen. And the American people were going to somehow get some intellectual curiosity to change the direction of this country for not just the positive, for the productive, the productive. And I see, every day I wake up, it's just not going to happen, I mean, it hurts to wake up every morning. I know people have emailed me up at ghostpolitics@yahoo.com. People have emailed me up lots of times and asked me, what the hell does that mean, Ghost, that it hurts to wake up every morning? It hurts. I've lived a long time, folks, and to see this prosperous nation go into the Sanford and Son junkyard pissing ground that it has become to this point it's pathetic. Where nobody has any more shame in this country. Nobody has any shame. Nobody. They'll backstab everybody for the most trivial materialistic widgets. For the most mundane amounts of revenue. You know? And I know that people are going to say that drinking isn't the answer here, but it makes things go better. And I'm not trying to say that feel sorry for me, but I'm an old ass clown that lived by principle for a long time until I decided I was just going to go Gordon Gekko sociopath. But I want to tell you young people that, look, the only thing keeping me alive is the fact that I've got somebody, that I've spent a long time with, my wife and my children. And it's that understanding of loyalty, to understand that my wife would probably follow me into hell, is what keeps me going in this life, because mommy and daddy ain't going to do it. And and I feel sorry for these young people, because they're not going to have it as easy as I had. I had it easy, when I was younger. I mean, girls were a lot more innocent back in those days, I mean, girls were, and ladies were looking for men that could take care of them and be able to take care of any kind of problems that arose and that sort of thing. Now, these women think that not only can they take care of problems, but they can cause all the problems they see fit, just based upon a woman liberation urge. And I just want to say it's a disgrace, really. It seriously is. And all I got to say is that, to these young people out here that are listening into this broadcast, on top of making all this money, you got to make sure that you have a base. You got to make sure that you have somebody that's going to be down with you no matter what. And not going to be envious of you when you're successful. That's going to be proud of you when you do things. That, is going to actually, not be some mooching asshole, trying to get one over on you to, get some money out of you, That sort of thing. That's what you're going to have to need. And I feel so sorry for these young people that are living in this day and age where women, all they give a crap about is how much you can give them. And when you stop giving it to them, they're going to leave you. So even though I'm watching this country wither away from within, even though I have decided to just go ahead and just turn my back on conservatism, since conservatism has turned its back on me, I've decided that I want to be a capitalist. Well, I've been a capitalist, let's put it that way, but I put all my energies into that endeavor and prospered nicely. But I'm going to live large until it's on and popping. Anyway, I really don't feel like doing any more of this broadcast. Because this world's sick, man. It's a sick freaking world. You can't trust anybody. That's the bad part about being a capitalist, folks. That's why it's so easy to be some collective, politically romantic, communist jerk-ass. That's why it's so easy, because you don't have to think, You don't have to think about anything. You just do it. Oh, I can just do something because the government's going to be there to back me up. The government's going to be there to give me some cash. I don't have to think. I don't have to have any kind of responsibility. But capitalist, all right, the people with the balls, They have no such luxury. They have no such luxury of being such a dumbfounded asshole and an idiot. They have no luxury to sit here and stop thinking, stop learning. Because once they do, their prosperity ends and their fall begins. And that's why, as long as I live, and I don't know how long I have to live on this earth, folks. As a matter of fact, it really doesn't matter to me as long as I'm living large, you know. That's why I just decided to start drinking, you know. I decided to just go ahead and just not really give a crap about too much, other than the fact that I'm going to appreciate my family, appreciate my woman, and that's all I got. That and my assets. My woman and my assets. That's all I got. That's why I'm saying, folks, if you want to be some collective minion asshole that just wants to collect off the government and be some useless significance on this planet, will you go do that? All right? You go do that. But as far as I'm concerned, and everybody else who listens to me, and people who email me, and people who listen to me on a consistent basis, we're going to be capitalists. And we're going to attain all the assets as we possibly can. And we are going to shape this new world in a way where everybody that lives in it has to produce something, has to contribute something. You know, I find it sick that there are people that go 30, 40, 50, 60 years living as an absolute piss and shit bag. That's about it. It's just a piss and shit factory. That's their significance to life. They go 30, 40, 50, 60 years and contribute nothing. They don't do nothing. They don't help anybody. They don't give anybody good advice. They do nothing. Nothing. No contribution. And yet they're helped along by our dumbass, pathetic socialist government. You know, they're championed along by, you know, those that are their peers. It's a disgrace, folks. So that's why I'm saying the people with the balls are those that are capitalists and those that have put their money where their mouth is. Those that get afraid and are scared and like, oh, I'm afraid to put my money there. I don't know. I don't understand. Well, you belong with the other morons that are out here that don't want any worries, and you know they don't want any type of thinking process going along as it pertains to their well-being or sustenance. You know, you go with that crowd. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm with the capitalists. And I'm so serious about capitalism, folks. Well, not capitalism, because we don't have capitalism. There is no nation on this earth that has a pure form of capitalism. But one can still be a capitalist. And you can utilize the rule of law to capitalize in your favor. And that's what I encourage everybody throughout the international community to do. No matter what government you're living under, no matter what political system you're living under, you can do what you have to do to capitalize. And instead of going out there and spending the money that you got, on bimbos at a bar, paying $12 a Mai Tai for their stupid, dumb asses, instead of going out to strip clubs and shoving a 20 in some bitch's shit funnel, instead of going out there and buying all these ridiculous threads that are overpriced and that were made in China for pennies on the dollar, instead of doing all this, gain yourself a nest egg, save some capital, and do something with yourself, man. Become a capitalist. Don't you understand that the only way you become a capitalist is just to save capital and to utilize that capital to your best interest? And nobody has your best interest except you. Always remember that. Not mommy, not daddy, you. I mean, in this superficial world, this is what I keep telling the young people, in this superficial, sick, disgusting, pathetic, cougar town, disgusting world, you think that your mammy and daddy are going to be proud of you when you have made more than them in their lifetime and you haven't even lived their full life? You think that mommy and daddy are going to be proud of you? They're not. They're going to be envious of you, folks. I see it time and time again in regular life, in everyday life. Young gentlemen out here trying to strive for success while their parents are out here relaxing on the entitlement system that they embraced via this love child hippie garbage. It's crap. Utter crap. And what I don't understand is I'm sitting here in my office, and I have this beautiful window that overlooks downtown Austin, Texas. And I look at all the prosperity that's happening in Texas, and yet I still see some, like right now I'm looking at a little bum on the street, trying to panhandle. I can see him right now as we speak, just kind of going up to people. I can just imagine what he's saying. He's, "Come on, man, you got a couple of pennies, man, need change, man," and all this crap. "My kids," and all this crap. And I think to myself, I mean, this country's never going to be happy, man. So as much as it hurts me to try to champion the idea to folks that are listening in to invest in foreign markets, and not just foreign markets, but emerging markets, I still strongly advise people to do so. Anyway, I'm getting the hell out of here. I don't really want to. I'm through with this crap. I'm through talking. I'm through, sitting here and trying to convey, information over the internet in an attempt to spark synapses to the morons that are listening into this damn broadcast. I'm sick. I'm sick. You don't understand how sick I am. It makes me sick on how much I am sick. I mean, I've been betrayed, damn it. I've been betrayed by everything that I've ever believed in my life. I've been betrayed by everybody that I believed in my life. And that's what's unfortunate. That's the realism about being a capitalist, is that, anybody that you know is only going to be your friend, or is only going to be your acquaintance, or is only going to be your special family member for so long until you are no use to them, or until you cut off the goddamn money supply to these pieces of crap. And this is America here. This is it. This is what we have. This is it. Anyway, I know there's people in the chat room that are, telling me not to go, telling me not to end the broadcast, but I mean, folks, you have to understand, man. I'm sick, man. It hurts to wake up every freaking morning and to see the sour scowls on the disgusting pussies of these individuals that are walking the face of this particular continent right now. It hurts to wake up and see these ungrateful idiots that are collecting all my tax dollars and that are, gaming the system, that are collecting disability for, fibromyalgia and multiple personality disorder and bipolar disorder. I mean, there's people that are collecting serious income because of this. There's women turning, baby making into big business. The more loser you are in America, the more loser you are in America, the more money you get from my government. The bigger screw up you are in this country, the more money you get from our government. And yet people are still unhappy. people are not progressing themselves, and it makes me sick. So before I blow a goddamn head gasket, and before I start throwing this damn desk chair outside my office window here to start causing a ruckus, I'm going to get the hell off of here. Because I cannot believe that this country is what I spent 5 years screaming, hooping, and hollering about on this broadcast when nobody gives two rats' asses. And then, yesterday I got some fruity-ass little fruit bowl named Vince at the Bay calling me up saying that I'm not a patriot and that I'm some disgrace or something because I'm encouraging those that are listening into the Capitalist Radio Show to go out and invest in emerging markets because this market is about to implode. This is why I'm saying, folks, if you're going to take anything away from my show and my commentary, remember this. These people are idiots. All right? They're all idiots. And you're only going to have people in your inner circle for as long as they're loyal. Without loyalty, it's nothing. There's nothing. So anyway, I got to get the hell out of here. Anyway, I'm out of beer anyway. I'm out of drinking alcoholic libations. I'm sure the people that are down the hall over here in this office building are wondering why the hell I'm screaming, and they're a little upset about it. So I'm just going to go ahead and get off this broadcast, but I am definitely going to have another one tomorrow. Hopefully cooler heads will prevail. Maybe I won't be as upset and pissed off. Maybe I won't be so vulgar, whatever the case might be. But before I go, please, I'd like everybody to please bookmark or add to your favorites the official website, blogtalkradio.com/ghost. And email me too, ghostpolitics@yahoo.com. And of course, the Twitter name, ghostpolitics. Tomorrow I'll be on about the same time, about 3:30 Central Time. So be there or be square or, circle jerk to a naked picture of George Michael's asshole servicing a glory hole in some Los Angeles park bathroom somewhere. I'm out of here. Long live capitalism.
Boar's Head is bringing a slice of Japan to the deli. Introducing Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken. Tender, slow-roasted chicken breast, coated in our signature teriyaki glaze, where ginger, garlic, and a hint of brown sugar meet for a flavor that's both sweet and savory. New Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken. The bold flavor of Japan. Now at the deli. Only from Boar's Head. Compromise elsewhere.